Hey there, folks. This is Brandon with All Aboard Gamer. And I am very happy to be here with my friend Anthony from, you know him from Ant Lab Games and the board game Nexus.
Yep.
And
Hey,
we are
everyone.
here to talk about crowdfunding, all the things crowdfunding. We're going to give you some opinions and talk about some fun games, just games we picked, right? We just kind of had some fun. We're not covering every project. We're just having some fun.
Yep. Oh yeah, and I think we each had our own sort of crowdfunding segments on each of our channels, respectively. You know, like I did mine by myself. I don't know. You did yours mainly by yourself, or you did it with Lexi?
I did some episodes. It was called Game Spotting, which I think is what we're going to call this too, which is great. That's fine. But yeah, I did a couple episodes with Lexi. But what we found is, this is interesting. When we did it together, we backed so many projects because we both got so excited looking at them.
Yeah.
So we started to do it separately. She was like, why don't you just do it, because it's easier to just sort of control the excitement a little bit. So it was kind of fun.
Okay. Yeah, so this is one that I kind of just did sort of on my own, and it's like because like you said, we would both get excited about something and want to back it, and we both share very similar opinions and tastes in games. So I figured it would be neat to do this with someone else, right? Someone outside of my sphere. Or at least someone different than someone I game with all the time, right?
Yeah.
Just to get a different perspective on the games, on hear what your thoughts are on some of these crowdfunding campaigns versus what I'm thinking about it. So I think it'd be interesting.
Yeah, and that's the thing. We may disagree on certain things. I know that, like, for example, you and I disagree on Blood Rage. We haven't had a chance to discuss that on a video, but I think we need to at some point. There needs to be an intervention.
Yeah, we may have to do that.
Yeah, right. So I know we have similar taste in games, which is why we love the channel, but we have different opinions because there's so many varied things with games, and especially with crowdfunding, there's so many different things to consider. So yeah, it'll be nice to talk with you.
Yes. Excellent. So I have a list of games we're going to go through.
Yep.
The first one being Taverns and Dragons.
Taverns and Dragons.
Yep.
Now, Lord Raccoon Games, just to start off with the publisher. Have you ever heard of this publisher?
No, this is the first time these guys that I've heard of them. So unless I'm completely drawing a blank.
Right. I was in the same boat, and I was just curious because you've definitely been in the industry kind of longer than Lexi and I have, and I'd never heard of them, and I kind of felt, and they only have 2 created projects, and so I wasn't sure if anybody knew. The last one that they created was called The Last Bottle of Rum.
Yeah. I don't know that one either, so that's why. Yeah. So.
Okay. I was just curious. So for the people at home, this is new. This is a new publisher to both of us then.
Yeah. What's funny is looking at The Last Bottle of Rum. Like, I'm looking at the art and I'm like, the style. I'm like, these guys know their graphic design. Like they
really do. Yeah. Because that one looks pretty sweet too.
Yeah. It actually piqued my interest when I looked it up. I'm like, oh wow, okay. So but I digress. So Taverns and Dragons, right?
Yeah.
So I could kick this off, right? So Taverns and Dragons, Francis and I did a playthrough. We did it for the Kickstarter campaign. We're probably down somewhere towards the bottom of the campaign page here, but we were pleasantly surprised by this one. If any of you had watched it, we were drawn in by the art. We thought it looked like a kids game, which it certainly is a good fit for kids, but it's not. I wouldn't label this as a pure kids game, right? Because as adults, we found that there were some some strategies and some mechanics that fit right in with what we enjoy. So it was good. It was definitely good.
Yeah, this one. I mean, you look at the funding. They're more than quadruple their goal.
Yeah.
And over 2,000 backers. So, and the first game, the Last Bottle of Rum, had almost 2,000 backers. So they've definitely got a following. And I think it's the artwork. That artwork, at least at an initial blush, that's what drew me in. And then when I started reading and saw dice placement and worker movement, and like you mentioned, there was some different meeples. You have like 3 meeples, and they all do different things. So you have your little variable powers almost built right into your meeples, and then so you have to kind of think about what you're going to be doing as far as movement. It's not a roll and move, which I was glad to see, but you do roll dice.
You do.
You're assigning dice to different actions and doing different things, which is pretty neat.
Yeah, you do. So it was an interesting mix of mechanics here, and it was all done in sort of a lighter a lighter tone, which for me is nice. We as heavy as we do like to play, it is nice every now and again to play something a little bit lighter. Like you said about the art, the art. I'm a sucker for art, so when I see a game with and this actual art style is one of my favorites when it comes to fantasy art. I don't know what it is about it. It's a cartoon. It's a realistic-ish cartoon, but not really. I don't know what it is. It's almost like Disney art in a way. Yeah. And it just, I don't know what it is about it. Anybody does a game like this, I'm immediately interested. So it could be a terrible game, but it'll get me to stop and look into it, right? So
absolutely, this was I would say if I saw this on the table, it would stop me in my tracks.
Yep. Oh yeah.
In fact, right toward the top of the page, I show a lot of card art, 20 hero cards right there, and I'm just gawking at that art. And like you said, it's a realistic style. But it's almost like a video game style of art where it's like cartoony, but it's also very realistic. Like the characters have realistic facial expressions, and some of them are looking very stern. Like you really get the character coming out. It seems really, really cool. And I think as a kid, doing recipes and running around and wandering around, and then a dragon pops out and the adventure part of it. I mean, it just looks really fun. Yeah, it's really fun for families.
Yeah, the catch on this game is, right, as you said, you're trying to build these recipes, but the ingredients are kind of strewn around the board. It's a circular board, so as you're going around, you're just picking up the recipe items, the ingredients with your little meeple. But a lot of the recipes require meat, and the only way to get meat is from the dragons. So you have to wait for the dragons to spawn, and they spawn like the second and fifth round. And when they spawn, you can fight them, and that's the only way to get meat. So if you want to get some of the bigger recipes, you have to go after them. You can get your characters, your heroes, and some of them will give you those ingredients as well. They're like a one-time use, though. And so you got to kind of budget your moves, budget your guys, and really try to find a way to get it, because the game, although it's I think it's like 9 rounds or something, but it goes really fast. So before you know it, because you only got 3 actions per turn, per round, so that's it. Like you don't have and you only move your guy once. Like once he moves, he's done. So you really have to think about it.
Yeah, well, that's where that strategy can come in. It's simple enough for a kid to pick up. I mean, it is 10 plus. Yeah. So it's not for little kids. But my son's 12, and I was telling you off air. I think this would be great for him because he's not a board gamer. He's more interested in the video games and things like that. But this is something that looks good. The mechanics are probably simple enough where if he's not into board games, he would still sit down and play it because he does do that. He'll play games, but he likes the simpler ones. He likes the dexterity games, and he likes little games like this where he's able to kind of do his own thing.
Yep. Yeah, he would definitely enjoy this.
I think he would enjoy it. So this one definitely, we're backing it.
Cool.
And we're excited about that. And it looks really, really good. And I think, like you said, I think the 4 of us, you and Francis and Lexi and I, have very similar taste in games. Some of the first videos we watched of you were of Empires of the Void 2, because I love that game. Yeah. And that was one of the first playthrough I've ever seen from the 2 of you years ago. So it's, it was like that drew us in. But yet, here's something that looks lighter that can fit a niche in our collection, and I think it would be good.
Yeah. So. Oh yeah. We definitely enjoyed it, and it's just as beautiful in person as it is on the screen. It's a really pretty game. So whoever they have doing their graphic design and their art is top notch for sure.
Yeah. But, and that definitely sells games today.
Oh, without a doubt. What's funny is if we ever get we'll get emails from these publishers and designers about the games they want to have us cover on Kickstarter, and they'll send us over either a rule book or they'll send us over some stock images of the game, and the first thing I look at is the art. And this one, I just looked at it for a second and said, yeah, we'll do this one. That's it. I'll cover it. It's Kickstarter. I'll do the content because it's just beautiful. But if I look at something and I could tell it's not very good art, or the graphic design is really generic, and I'm just I could tell it's probably not going to fund. You can really tell. It makes a huge difference on whether or not something's going to fund. It's crazy.
I hate to say it, and I don't want this to sound snobby, but it is 2022, and part of me is this is the direction board games are going. So I don't personally think there's I mean, I'm sure there are reasons why you would have lesser art, obviously cost and things. But I think if you want to stand out right now, I think artwork is going to help that because there's a lot of competition for your dollars. There's competition on Kickstarter. There's competition in your game stores for that shelf space. And I think you need to stand out with the artwork. You just do.
No, yeah. There's thousands, some odd like 5,000 games a year come out, right? Like easily.
It's unreal.
Yeah. If you want to be one of the top 100, you've got to have good art and good components and a good game. Right. Like you just if you don't have all three, you're probably not going to make it.
That's right.
Just
so if you want to hunt dragons,
if
you want to cook up some cool recipes with dragon meat and all kinds of mushrooms and stuff like that. I think mushrooms is one of the things you're collecting around.
It is. Oh yeah.
And you want to have heroes and use their abilities and roll dice this one, and you love good artwork. This one looks like a winner. It really does.
It definitely was good. So go check it out. Taverns Dragons. Yeah. All right. So we can go on to the next one. All right, so the next game we're going to cover, and this one's interesting. I'd love to really hear your take on this one. We're going to cover Euthia Resurrected.
Yeah, so my take on this is from a person who has not played the original game. Mm-hmm. This is more of a take on the situation as a whole. This game was funded on GameFound a little while ago. And it's Dia Games, DIEA. I forget where they're from. They're from overseas, but they published the original. And they actually relaunched this campaign, like a reprint with some extra content, on GameFound just a few months ago, this year in 2022. And it wasn't more than, I think, a week or maybe 10 days, maybe not even that long later. I can't remember exactly. You'd have to find the canceled campaign on GameFound, the page there, if it even exists. But they canceled it. And one of the reasons they gave was the shipping was just knocking them for a loop. And they weren't raising the funds that they were going to need, and it wasn't looking good as far as projections. So they literally canceled the whole thing.
Wow.
Which was really shocking to people. This is a big narrative, miniatures, dark fantasy kind of campaign game. This is, there are channels that cover these games in full. We typically don't, at least not at this point. But this one had me really interested. Lots of big minis. People rave about it. It has a very high score on BGG. I mean, a very high score. People that, and again, the score on BGG doesn't mean it's the be-all, end-all. We all understand that. But it is an indication that people that have played this game really love this game. Now, I haven't been able to play it because I didn't back it. But then we heard rumblings of this thing coming back to Kickstarter. And Steamforged Games picked it up. And that's why they're calling it Resurrection, because they brought it back to life. In fact, if you watch the video, the trailer here, what's amazing is the Dia, the remnants of Dia, from my understanding, they're defunct. The company went under because of all of this. Dia is no more. But the folks from Dia, I believe, are on the video talking about what they literally say what happened. It was shipping. I think I wrote the quote down. Basically, they just said shipping costs due to COVID. Is what happened. And so the video's more interview than actual game, because a lot of people know Euthia. So it's an epic, big game. I love the idea. So what Steamforged did is they picked up the pieces of this. They're basically doing the campaign in Dia's stead and releasing the extra content and the expansion that they were going to apparently originally. Now, from my understanding, Steamforged isn't touching the game. The game is designed. The game has been done. So Steamforged isn't touching the game, and I think a lot of people are happy about that. Again, I'm not a Steamforged expert as far as the publisher, but I know a lot of their games are very high production and sometimes very weak, very shallow on the gameplay, at least from what I've studied and what I've heard. I don't know if you have experience, Anthony.
What do they have?
They have Horizon Zero Dawn. They do a lot of video games.
IP, so they do IP ports?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm not... Those are hit or miss, man.
They are hit or miss.
Yeah. I love Horizon, the video game. I didn't have any interest in the board game.
Yeah, and see, what I heard was, and it looked beautiful, the miniatures, and people say the miniatures are absolutely amazing if you like Horizon and want to paint them, but they said the gameplay was just very, very bad. So again, that comes from someone who has. I'm just repeating what I've heard. It doesn't mean that that's the case, but from what I've seen, their games kind of fall flat. So I'm glad they're not touching Euthia. It's done. It's designed. It's been done.
Okay.
They just picked up the pieces. So I think it's kind of an interesting dynamic. What we see here is one company dying and another company picking up the. I can't even imagine what kind of deal has been struck here for doing this. Steam for it, but it's expensive. If you're getting everything, this is like a $400 and some game.
Yeah.
Plus the massive amount of shipping cost on this, it's very high.
And we're gonna talk about shipping costs later on in this segment, so I'll save my comments till that point.
Yeah. But what did you think about this as far as the game itself?
I never played it. In fact, I really didn't hear about it until this whole mess happened, right? When it was everybody was like, "Oh my God, they canceled their campaign. Let's all talk about it," right? And it was the hot topic of the week. And so I looked at it, I researched it. I'm like, "What happened here?" And then I was just like, "All right." So I'm not surprised, and I'll allude to why I wasn't surprised later on with the way things were. But I was looking at the game and the campaign, and I was like, this game looks actually really good. I would probably really enjoy this because I just did a whole segment on overland adventure RPG games, and I'm like, this is probably something similar to that. And I honestly think there's a shortage of that genre. At least from outside of dungeon crawlers, because everybody makes a dungeon crawler, right? Because almost like that's just what everybody seems to want to gravitate towards versus let's go a little more macro and make it a little more.
Yeah, this is a big sandbox. This is as true to the sandbox as people have said. That like this is it is part dungeon crawl, but it's not just a linear dungeon crawl. This is an open world sandbox game.
Yeah, and I think that we need more of those. So the fact that this was resurrected, so to speak, I think that's great. That a company can come in, pretty much pick up the IP and all the component parts of this campaign and just re-deliver it from a logistics perspective. I think that's a nice happy ending considering they're at 1.3 million funding. That's good.
And I hope that that's enough because again, with everything going on right now, and they threw a lot of nice stuff in here. I think for the folks that are happy that it's back. They got the free Necromancer hero kit. The core pledge alone is $180 plus the shipping. But if you look and you keep scrolling and scrolling and scrolling,
it just gets
getting
nuts.
A boatload of content.
Yeah,
I mean a boatload.
Yeah, it's
lots of daily unlocks. Yeah, lots of add-ons. Of course, 400 gets you the all-in pledge, but there's a ton of add-ons that you can sort of customize the package you might want. I would love to be able to get this. I really would.
It's a little bit out of my budget.
Yeah, it's a little out of the budgetary range right now with everything going on. But if you look at the shipping down there, an all-in pledge to the Philippines, you're looking at anywhere between 200 and 250 pounds, which is
for shipping or
US dollars.
All in.
That's for the all-in pledge. Shipping is 200 to 250 pounds.
See, that's insane. Who can afford that?
Plus the cost of the game.
Yeah, that's like $1,000 game. Like, I can't even imagine.
Yep.
Spending that kind of money.
Yeah, and it's 49 pounds to anywhere in the U.S. mainland, which is probably around $65, $70 US.
I think that's as much as I'd go on shipping, right? Comfortably.
You're getting a lot of
stuff.
It's
a lot of boxes. Shipping's not cheap right now. I get it. For that much weight, I'd say that's fair.
Yeah, I would agree.
250, 300? No, sorry, man. I'll go.
I feel bad for backers in those areas.
Yeah,
it's really tough.
I'll go buy 6 or 7 more games from the game store with that 350. You know what I mean? Like, and get just as much play out of it for me.
Yeah.
That's
honestly, it's like get it in a different country and try to get it shipped over to you from somewhere else. It might be even better.
Yeah, you'd be better off.
Yeah, we kind of take it for granted. We complain about the shipping, but there's other countries that have it so much worse than we do, and it is quite sad.
Oh yeah, no doubt, man. Yeah. So it's good to see. I'm glad they came back and it's a happy ending if this thing works out.
Absolutely, I think it's great.
But I think this is going to definitely be something that leads into our discussion at the end of this. end of this video. So stick around for that, folks, if you want to hear our talk about shipping. So
yes.
All right, we'll move on to the next game.
All right, I have to introduce this one.
Yeah.
Because part of our channel's name is in the title.
I saw that, actually. I saw that earlier today. I had a giggle.
Well, treat when I announced this. This one is Isle of Trains, All Aboard. A small box game with a big engine building experience. This one we are also backing, just to get it out of the way now. This looks like a little game, but I mean, I was looking at it even on the video. It's like $23, and it's starting at $23. But of course, you can deluxify it and to get a little bit more. But this one, look at the funding. It's almost at $100,000.
Yeah. With
a just above $8,000 goal. So very low goal. I think a very simple production from the looks of it. Kind of a smaller box experience. But over 3,000 backers, and it still has 8 days to go.
Yeah.
Stretch goals being unlocked. It did get a seal of approval from the Dice Tower because I remember them talking about it. And this one, I mean, I don't know what you think about train games, but we are like more of a steampunk train themed channel, and we have very few of those games in our collection. I saw this and I'm like, this might be a really good one to get started in. I love engine building games. What do you think, Anthony?
I like train games. We have a handful of train games. It's not one of our go-tos.
Okay.
I don't know what it is about it. I just don't think we love the theme of train games, but honestly, whenever we do play one, we tend to enjoy it, so I don't know why we don't play more. But we do play the heavier train games, obviously, right? Like, so
okay.
This one definitely, just by looking at it, the campaign, it looks on the lighter side for sure.
It does.
Which is good. I think that's actually to its benefit, because I think that would be something that we'd want to probably try out. Now, Dranda Games, we've done coverage for in the past. I think the company that makes Solar Sphere.
Okay.
And I believe Solar Storm. They made 2 of them. We'd covered both of those games, so we had done coverage. So their games are definitely solid. So this one, I mean, it looks good. I'm not gonna lie, man.
It does.
It looks really good.
If you look at the picture, that cover is like lying on top of the cards and the tokens, and so you sort of get an idea of scale. This is definitely a small box thing. It's basically a card game. It almost looks more of a card game than a board game.
Yeah.
I think one of the packages, we'll scroll down. My memory, but I think there's a playmat that comes with this one, or it might be another one that we're looking at. But anyway, it looks just like a little. I mean, you could throw this in a little bag, and it's basically an engine building card game, and you're building engines, and you're doing all the cargo, all the things you do with trains, all that fun stuff. But you're looking at the components. There is a deluxe version. That's what I thought. Yeah.
Yeah, it's 36 pounds, man. That's $44 US, and you get the luxury playmat with it. That's a really affordable price.
That is the playmat. Yeah, and then you get these nice wooden pieces that are screen printed, and all the passenger meeples. I mean, for what you're getting in here, I mean, it looks really, really good. Yeah,
you can't go wrong with this for that price point, man. These are some of the best, in my opinion, the best campaigns when they come in at a reasonable price point, especially for a card game, right?
Right.
Like, I've seen card games come in at $50, and I'm like, what are you getting?
Yeah.
You're getting a box of cards. Where if you're in the $20-$25 range, I'm like, that's the sweet spot, man. Like, who wouldn't back that, right? If you have any interest in this game at all, for $25, the buy-in, if you buy the no frills one, it's what
$23, $24.
Yeah, come on, man. Like, why wouldn't you take that risk, right? That's right. Like, if you're willing to spend $300 or $400 on something that may or may not ever get delivered, you have a shot at paying $24.
Yeah. This game will get played. This game is small enough, light enough, where it looks like it would get played in a reasonable amount of time. And here's the other thing too. When I was watching the film, I watched the trailer. I watched it a couple of times as they're explaining the mechanisms. And what I'm really interested in is this idea, this decision tension that I call it. You can add cargo to your opponent's trains to trigger an ability on their train car.
Oh.
And so you tuck your cargo behind their train and load cargo onto their train, but you get the bonus action on that car.
Interesting.
That's crazy. But here's the thing. If you do that too much and load their train up with cargo, they can now deliver that cargo and grab the victory points.
Yeah. That's pretty cool.
That to me is fantastic. And so what they keep talking about, you'll see in the campaign page if you're looking at it.
Yep.
Multi-use cards. And I love that in an engine builder where you have to make a tough decision. Do I need that bonus action, but I know if I take it, I'm going to give them cargo, which could lead to points.
Yep.
And then you're picking up passengers and you're trying to deliver them to these locations. And I think if you deliver them plus cargo, you get like bonuses. So
wow.
I think that adds a lot of player interaction. At least that's what I'm hoping it does. It looks really cool.
No, the game looks, honestly, it looks really, really good. Yeah, no question. This is a really good one.
Simple but cool. And I was going to ask you if you knew Dranda, so it's kind of nice that you know who they are because I heard of them before either. I've heard of Aquasphere, but that's not the same.
Not at all Aquasphere. No, it's Solar Sphere. Yeah, Solar Sphere was a game they did a while back. They've done a couple of games. Solar Storm, I think, was the one they did initially, and then Solar Sphere was their more recent title. We covered both of those games for their Kickstarter campaigns. So yeah, we've worked with them in the past. But yeah, they make good stuff. They deliver their games. Like that's really what you want to hear these days. Like, is it a safe back, right?
Yeah. That's a good.
Yep. Yeah, and they're definitely not. You know, they've done campaigns in the past, and they've delivered.
Right.
So.
And it's looking like early 2023 for this one. It looks like February is the target. I know most people don't take those seriously, but if you're saying that they deliver their games, this is a smaller box.
Yeah.
This one might be a little bit easier logistically for them to do it. It sounds like a good safe bet. So.
Yeah, for sure. And if it's when you start to get into the miniatures and that type of production that you're really rolling the dice, so to speak, on when you're going to get that game.
Yeah, the big campaign, big rule books and things. It just a nightmare.
Yeah, this is just card print and some painted meeples. I don't think.
Yeah, it looks good. I like the art. I like the graphic design. It looks cheerful. It looks fun, and it has our channel name in it.
Yeah,
come on.
You actually don't have a choice. You have to back this one.
I have to back it. Yeah. You have to back. Now, one thing I will tell people: we do like train games. You know, I know Ticket to Ride. I get it. But we had Spike, and I loved Spike, and we've tried several others, and they're really fun. But this one looks like it's a nice little travel size that really looks good on the table. And then with the playmat, I mean, come on, you got to have the neoprene. Gotta have it.
No, it looks good. I'll give it to you, man. This is definitely cool. One to back. All right, cool.
Nice.
So let's move on to the next one. Go.
All right, so the next one I guess I'll intro because Anthony admitted that he doesn't know much about this one. This one's Hijacked. And Hijacked, interesting theme. For sure. That was the first thing that caught me here. Thrilling, eco-friendly board game. We'll talk about that in a second.
Yeah, I'm curious about that. I was just about to ask.
Yeah, set in the year 2050, which, again, I'm not exactly sure why it's set in 2050 or why that matters, but that lets you negotiate with hijackers and save passengers. So it does have that kind of positive theme where you're sort of thwarting the bad plots and trying to rescue and save.
Okay.
It's funded. Well funded at this point, but it's interesting. This one's not as funded as any of the other ones on our list.
Okay.
631 backers, still 9 days to go, but it's only just breaking maybe 30,000 with a $10,000 goal.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll talk about that. Maybe maybe we'll just once we kind of go over it what we're doing. But I have a feeling it's the theme that might be holding this one back a little bit.
That's interesting too, right? I don't know if you ever played Hostage Negotiator before.
I have not. No, I have not. But I've heard of it.
Okay, yeah. So that's and then Final Girl is their more recent.
Okay.
Recent game, right? So Hostage Negotiator was, that came out years ago, and it was I'm drawing a blank on the publisher. But it was basically you're a negotiator. It's a card-driven and dice-driven game. It's solo only. You're basically a negotiator, and your cards you're playing are you on the phone with the bad guy. And there's a bunch of different scenarios and card packs that you can pick up. And as you play your cards and roll dice, it allows you to sort of progress the conversation. And then if you end up misstepping, or basically rolling bad dice, he hangs up on you and he starts killing hostages. Like, so it gets really bad, really dark, really fast. And it's really like hit or miss, because a lot of people find that the theme is really too heavy. Especially nowadays, because like I think one of the scenarios is like in a classroom, right? And the teacher goes crazy. So it's like, all right, I don't know how well that would be received right now. You know what I mean? Right. So I don't know if the theme. It's a lot of people. It's really hit or miss. That's what I'm trying to say.
It is, and I think you're right. And you think of movies like Die Hard and Die Hard 2.
Yes.
With Die Hard 2 in particular was about airplanes.
Yes.
And it is a theme that shows up in video games like Call of Duty. I remember when the one Call of Duty had an airport scene where you literally play the terrorists walking through the airport and just shooting people.
Yeah.
They gave you the option to skip it because it's very, that kind of stuff is very sensitive.
It's
very triggering.
It's tough. It can hurt. It can trigger some folks.
And yeah. So I think the theme, but also the fact that this is Greenest Games, the publisher. This is their first created project.
Okay.
And they're kind of pushing this eco-friendly.
I was about to say that. And before we jump into that, I just want to say the Hostage Negotiator was Van Ryder's games. I don't know why I forgot them, but Van Ryder. And they did Final Girl. Final Girl is essentially the same engine, but horror movie themed. So just wanted to get that past us before we go on to this other eco-friendly topic. Yeah,
we got to educate our viewers, right?
That's how it
works. Although they probably knew it.
They knew. They're screaming at the. I want to do it before somebody can run in and type a comment, because I know they're going to do that.
Yep. So this one apparently has no plastic components.
Okay.
And means no miniatures. And so I don't know if any of this is really hurting them, but I think maybe the combination. What do you think? Maybe the combination of things.
I don't know if this would be a negative, so to speak.
Okay.
I mean, because. Look, I mean, you've got people who are hardcore into this whole, like eco-friendly stuff, and you got other folks who just don't care. You get some people who ride in the middle. It's nice to have, but it's not required. I don't know what these dice are made of if they're not plastic. What are they then?
They're wood.
They're wooden dice. Okay, that's good. I'll give it to them. Like I personally don't think anybody's gonna not back this because it's eco-friendly, right?
Oh, okay. Yeah. I think the most inhibiting thing is the theme, and possibly that this is the first project from a brand new publisher.
Yeah.
Because that does, with everything being skittish with Kickstarter, I think that can hold people back.
Yeah, I would agree. And maybe they're thinking about how's the replayability on this, right? It's kind of like the same scenario you're playing every game.
Yeah. Yep.
Right, like you've got to go stop the hijacking. It seems like.
Yep. Yeah. It looks like there's unique passenger cards and kind of the way you're vying for them. There's only 5 hijacker tiles, though, so I'm not sure if they're going to be unlocking different things. So, yeah, I was concerned about that, too.
Yeah.
It's interesting. I was thinking about that, too. I mean, is this going to be replayable, or is it more of – because it is co-op. And so is it going to be super difficult? Because, games that are co-op like this tend to be really difficult to increase the replay, like, try until you get it kind of thing.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure, without having played it or being able to test it, I don't know how that would balance. And so that is obviously a concern for me. But the artwork is wonderful because it's the Michi.
Yeah. Artwork's good. I think it's interesting, and it's a $45 game, which I think is a reasonable price. I don't think that's so I don't really know. I it's got to be the theme, man. I think, I don't think, me personally, I don't think the eco bit, I don't think they needed to like really put it on their bright letters to say that this is an eco-friendly game. You need to know that. Like, I don't know if that's really a powerful marketing ploy. Right. To be honest.
I think they might be trying to establish their brand. They are called Greenest Games.
Yeah, I mean, there's no escaping that, right?
Yeah, right. They might be trying to just establish that, hey, by the way, everything is going to be non-plastic, including the dice and everything else. It'd be interesting to see how they do that.
I'd like to see them do a game about cleaning the plastic up out of the ocean. Like, that'd be a cool game. Like, or doing something like on the grander scale of attacking like the world's pollution, right? That'd be cool. If you really want to push that sort of, I don't know, that stance, then, and that's like your big thing, to push this green game and say we're making a hijacking game, it's kind of disjointed in my opinion. It's just
that's interesting.
It's like a mixed message for me. I'm like, okay,
well, good point.
They really don't have anything to do with each other, but cool. I mean, hey, kudos to you for trying to do good to the environment. That's cool. But I don't know if that's not going to bring in more backers. That's what I'm saying.
Right. Yeah. And literally, if you look at it, you're trying to get the police to retreat, because if the police, like, that's the tracker. If you look, the track that does it that goes around the nose of the plane. If the police get there, like, that's when things go wrong. And
I mean, are you the hijackers in this?
Right. Like, yeah, like that's exactly what they're trying to do. Like, you're trying to allow the police to retreat. Well, I don't think it's like that they're going to do something bad. I think that's the timer. And I think the way that they thematically did the timer, it's like, we're trying to negotiate to get them out, save the passengers before the police go in, and then somebody might get executed.
So we're the negotiator talking, and we're trying to stop the violence.
Right. Okay. And the timer are the police heading into the plane, and so you're trying to back them up and try to stall them so you can do the saving. So it does have an interesting premise.
That's interesting.
Yeah,
I'm sure it's fun. But after I played this a time or two, I'm not sure if I'd really.
That's what I was concerned about. Yeah.
If it had multiple scenarios, right? One of them's a plane. One of them's like the president's hostage. You've got to go talk. Like something like that, like where it's changing up the so that it's like a modular board where you can kind of like plug and play different scenarios. I think that would be probably a bigger sell.
Yeah. I agree, and they do have objectives, but they're just for scoring extra points.
Yeah,
it kind of takes away the idea of a specific, like you just said, a specific scenario where you're trying to rescue a VIP. You said the president or maybe even a pop star. That kind of thing.
Yeah.
But
then again, you'd be playing hostage.
Maybe they're hiding and things like that.
You'd be playing Hostage Negotiator by Van Ryder Games if you were, because that's basically what it is, man. It's just a modular bunch of scenarios where you're the negotiator talking down the kidnapper or the guy who's got somebody at gunpoint before he kills everybody. And you can get him to either give himself up or you get by the cops a chance to out him. Like, that's the game. So like this is essentially that in board game form, but one scenario. Like, so I don't know. I don't know how different it is. I don't know.
That's a good point. Yeah, that's a good point. And their timeline is saying December of this year for fulfillment.
That's really short.
January 2023. They're saying December 2022 / January 2023 for fulfillment.
So 4 to 5 months from now, they're going to have this printed and out.
Yeah.
Which could mean that it's done. You know what I mean?
It could be done. Yep.
Which is admirable. I think. I think a lot of Kickstarters should get to this point before they actually start their campaign.
I agree.
I've seen too many half-baked Kickstarters hitting the crowdfunding platforms where we've gotten rule books and I'm just like, this rule book's not even done. And they're like, oh, we're still finalizing some things. I'm like, then why are you launching today? Like, are you kidding me? Like, this isn't even ready yet. Like, what if there's some mechanic you didn't think about that was so broken that you've got to rewrite the entire rule book and you've just launched a game? Like, that, to me, I'm like, that's just crazy, man.
Well, this one's already on Tabletop Simulator, which is good. Yeah. There's also the pictures that they're taking are from the prototype, and that prototype looks like a finished game to me.
Okay.
It looks really good. So you're right. Here's the thing: if they can deliver it by then, they're gonna send a message.
Well, then again, you gotta remember it's all wood, right? There's no like plastic.
No mold, no plastic. No plastic dice. You don't have to wait for anybody to make dice. I mean, it's all wooden pieces, and I think those are far easier to make. Obviously,
and I think that's good. I think it's I'm not against that at all. I think it's.
Here's my question: they'll probably never ever offer a neoprene playmat.
No,
that's
probably.
sad.
Yeah.
The second thing is, what about linen finish on cards? Is I don't know. I don't know if you know. I'm not a chemist, and I don't think you're a chemist, although you might be.
In my past life.
Is linen finish a plastic base, like a plastic,
I don't.
plastic in it?
I, I think it's actually like cloth is injected
Oh,
into
it is.
is
Okay.
woven into the actual cardstock.
Yeah.
Which is
The
where they
actual
come up with the linen. You know what I mean? It's like a weave almost to where it's.
I was just curious because they're shiny and they feel real good, and you almost the texture and stuff. And I guess you're right. If they're linen, they're linen. But I wasn't sure if there was any kind of plastic.
There might be, man, because they sure feel like it. I mean,
They do.
this is
Yeah.
probably the polar opposite of like Too Many Bones.
Oh my, yeah, yeah. Too Many Bones leans into everything is plastic.
That whole box is plastic and neoprene, man. Like the entire game. Even the cards are plastic.
You could throw a jug of water on that thing and
Oh
nothing
yeah,
would get ruined.
yeah. I could play that game underwater and nothing would get nothing. Even the rule book, man. Nothing would curl.
Even the rule book.
Yep. So
but anyway, this is not Too Many Bones. This is Hijacked.
Hijacked.
Art by the Micho. I did talk to the Micho. We just interviewed him on our channel not that long ago. It was an awesome interview. He was so fun to talk to. He's not a board gamer himself, but he certainly has become rather famous in the board game community for his art.
His very
art,
unique art, man.
His art sells games, and I never get sick of it. How about you, Anthony? Every time I see him, I know it's the Micho, but I'm never sick of it.
No, I'm a fan, man. I'm a fan.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
All right, let's go to the next one. All right, so we are jumping into the next game, and it is Star Realms Rise of Empire. Now, this is a legacy.
The most generic title ever.
It really is.
Instead of Rise of the Empire, it's Rise of Empire.
Yeah, which is kind of weird to say it that way, right?
Yeah, it's weird.
So yeah, this one's interesting, and I'm gonna say that I got into Star Realms back when it first came out, and it was like many Gen Cons ago, and I remember getting it, playing the game. They also put out a digital version, like an iPad version, loved it to death, and I couldn't get enough of it, so I played it like endlessly, and then I got my fill and I moved on, right? But this really piqued my interest because I do love me a good deck builder. I love the art of Star Realms. I'm a big, if you don't know this about me, I will share that I am a huge sucker for sci-fi. And if the art's done right, I'm sold. Like that's it, right? And Star Realms always had really like just solid looking ships like in their cards, and it was just enough for me to enjoy it. It was a basic enough deck builder to be honest. It wasn't like earth shattering, but it was just fun, and I really enjoyed it. What did you think of it? You ever play Star Realms?
I love Star Realms. In fact, I demoed. You didn't know this about me, but my very first con ever was in 2018, and I went to PAX Unplugged in Philly.
Oh.
And I didn't go with Lexi. She didn't have the vacation time. She had just switched jobs. And she didn't want me to not be able to go. And I was working for the Envoy program as a herald, and I was brand new into that. So I was learning games from the publisher. And Wise Wizard, well, they were White Wizard at the time. They've changed. But I got set up with them to work in their booth. And so I was there behind the scenes. I was there to help set up and tear down and all of that. Well, during the con, I was working shifts in their booth, and I was demoing primarily Star Realms and Hero Realms. And I already knew Star Realms, already had the app. Even though I don't like app board games, that was different because it's just a card-driven kind of thing. It was easy. But they gave me a lot of the expansions. I got the commander packs. I got the storage box. Like I came home with a lot of cool stuff with Star Realms.
Right.
And I really, really liked it. This one, clearly, this is not a small box game anymore. Even if it probably hasn't been for quite some time. There's a lot of content. There's frontiers, there's colonies, there's all the commander packs, there's storage boxes, there's promos, the core games, lots of stuff. Yeah. And now this one looks like a big box, and this is Legacy. They introduced Legacy and do this, and Legacy I think fits well with deck builders. I mean, you see Clank Legacy.
Yeah.
Is there other deck building Legacy games? I'm probably not thinking of them, but Clank Legacy is the big one.
Mm-hmm. Oh, Aeon's End. Don't they have a Legacy?
Aeon's End. Oh, right. My goodness, it's sitting right to my left. Thank you. I was like, I know there's another big one.
Yeah.
Aeon's End. And so you have and we just got Legacy of Gravehold for Aeon's End.
Oh.
And Outcast, which is also a Legacy style. And so I think that this was probably the natural progression for them.
Mm-hmm.
Star Realms is familiar. The deck building is fun. People love it. I think there's even tournaments around this game. And when you say 13, I think it's 13 games that this one boasts in the campaign. And then when you're done, the market deck that is formed from all the stickers and the customization of your unique campaign in the Legacy style, it can be used plug and play into any of the other systems.
Oh, wow.
Of Star Realms. I mean, I think they nailed it as far as the integration and the natural progression of where this series was going to go. I think this was the natural progression, was it to go into Legacy.
Yeah, it looks intimidating to say the least, but I think I think it would be a lot of fun. I'll be honest with you. I haven't delved into the Legacy deck builders yet. Mm-hmm. I've picked up the Aeon's End big box, Legacy big box at my gaming store many times. I just haven't pulled the trigger on it because I have the original Aeon's End, like when it first came out, and we really liked it. We thought it was a lot of fun. It's just it's co-op wizard game where you're just casting spells, right? You're fighting a boss monster and you're just chucking spells. I've watched some videos on the Legacy bit, so I see how it works, and I'm like, all right, Star Realms could be pretty cool as long as there's like a campaign and you're sort of working through a campaign. I mean, I'm assuming you're fighting against a bigger enemy.
It's actually one faction against the other. It's the Trade Federation versus is it Star Kingdom? It's one faction against another, is what I believe it is.
And is it cooperative or is it competitive?
Oh, it's competitive.
Oh, it's competitive. Yeah. Okay. See, that's where it kind of loses me, because I enjoy cooperative deck builders. I don't enjoy competitive ones.
Well, this so it says the 2 to 6 player game starts as an epic 2-player 12 scenario Legacy campaign. So this is another thing that's different, is that it's a 2-player Legacy campaign. And it's competitive. So you're right.
That is cooperative.
Cooperative.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. That's where this is very different.
Is Clank cooperative? Clank Legacy?
It's like semi-co-op. I've always kind of felt. But
it is, yeah, because you can kind of get out, and then everybody else could die.
Yeah,
because it is competitive.
It's probably more competitive, but it's not a one-on-one competitive, right?
Right. No, this is very unique in that sense. It stays 2-player.
Yeah, that's different.
However, once it's done, it can be played as a customized 2 to 6 player Star Realms. That's fully compatible. So it starts off 2-player competitive, okay, but then when you're done, we can still play it up to 6 players in any other Star Realms set that we have. Like, that to me is
that's pretty interesting.
That's a feat.
Yeah, that is crazy.
Yeah,
I would try it, but it's not something. Again, it's not in our nature to play these. Which is what like something like just the 2-player battle it out type thing just doesn't work for us.
It just seems like a more customizable like a little story driven version of the main game.
Of the main game, yeah. Which isn't a bad thing if you're into the main game. I think
if you're into this is the natural progression. People that are, and look, it's got over 5,000, almost 5,200 backers.
Yeah.
It's made over $500,000 on a $20,000 goal, because again, it's a card game. It doesn't take a ton to produce.
Yep.
So they're doing something right. They know this formula. They know their IP very well. So the fans of Star Realms are going to eat this up. This one's not in our wheelhouse, like it is for you two, or it's not for you two either. So we'll be passing on this one most likely. But like you said, I would try it without a doubt.
Yeah.
Yep.
Maybe one day.
And art has even gotten better. I don't know if you noticed. I don't know if you were looking at the cards.
Oh yeah, I was.
original Star Realms is nice. You know, like you said, the ships are great. I love the blob, by the way, the green. I
love
the green effect. Blob. That's one of my favorites. When those come out, those just swarm and destroy. It's so great. But the art here looks more refined, if I could say it that way. It looks better. It just looks
it's really nice. It's clean. It's very clean looking, and
clean is a good word.
I love it. Yep, love it. So that's Star Realms.
One other thing, real quick. When you have sticker sheets. What's neat is they've done something with the sticker sheets where you're not just taking the stickers off and putting them on your cards and player boards and all that other stuff. When you get so many stickers taken off of your sheets, it triggers like some more cool stuff.
Oh, that's neat.
So the more stickers you take off of your sticker sheet, like the more cool stuff happens around that. And I don't know. I think they're doing a really neat job with this. Yeah.
I just wish if they had made this a cooperative, going after like an enemy faction or an enemy, just like a total enemy empire, then I'd be like sold. I'm in.
Yeah.
Totally.
I agree with you. On that.
But yeah, it's not gonna work for us. But that's it. Star Realms: Rise of Empire. Go check it out. All right, next game on the block is Moonrakers Titan. This one we covered this one front to back. Every little bit about this campaign we covered. Even the surprise digital expansion that Ivy Studios made. So what is Moonrakers Titan Edition, right? So do you own Moonrakers? We'll start there.
We did sell it. Somebody in our gaming group really wanted it, and we had just reviewed it. We played it a bunch, and so we did. I did sell it to the guy. I was reluctant, but I think it was a good deal.
Interesting.
So, yeah. Sold it.
I would never sell my copy of Moonrakers. I'll put it that way. So Moonrakers, it was a real. We'd heard a bunch about it. We came across it, and we weren't sure what to expect with it. I had no idea what the game was about. We got a copy of it. We played it, and we both looked at each other and were like, "I really like this game." Like it was just like. It just sold us like really. We don't like games where you have to negotiate like at all. I do not like. If you tell me there's negotiation in a game, I'm probably gonna pass. I'm like, I don't really like it. Where it's required, right? So we tried to play Moonrakers without negotiation because we don't really do that. And if you do that, it's a very long and boring game. So you have to negotiate, but the negotiation in this game is actually fun. And we enjoyed kind of because this is the true definition of semi-co-op, right? Because you have to partner with your people to do this. And we fell in love with that concept, and we really, really enjoyed it. Why do you laugh?
Well, we reviewed it.
Okay.
Lexi. Fortunately, we went with my score, which was a 7 out of 10.
Okay.
Which is for me, it's a good game. I did like it.
Yep.
Lexi was less than enthused. We played it with my daughter and son-in-law, and they weren't thrilled about it because, like you said, I was glad to hear you say you still do have to negotiate. Mm-hmm. That's what made it so annoying, though, that you didn't really have a choice in most situations, and then when someone decided to throw it, it just made you feel like you had a non-turn.
Yeah.
If you play it with the wrong group, not that our group was the wrong group, but what we noticed, and we played it 2-player, by the way, and it was just like, ew. It had this like central line of cards that recycled every time there was a turn shift, and you'd have to buy from that as kind of the third player. Like you're sort of negotiating, but you're negotiating with money. And money was very difficult to come by. It is very difficult to come by money in most instances in Moonrakers because money comes from winning contracts that have money as a reward.
Yep.
More often than not. If you stay at base, it's only one money.
Yeah.
So that's almost like that's not the way you want to earn money. So the negotiation, and then in a 2-player game, the negotiation just became more of like, right? It was just like, ugh, like this is weird. And so to balance it, you basically buy from this row that help you get the cards you need to be able to do your contracts. Otherwise, you just have this two-way negotiation.
Yeah, you have to upgrade. You got to upgrade the ship. Now, I'd say I could see that as a problem with the plain vanilla version, right? You definitely want to play that with 3 or more. There's no question, right? Now, they pumped out. So this Titan expansion is Titan Edition is Binding Ties, Overload, and Nomad, right? Those are 3 different expansions that just add a bunch of cards and new concepts to the game. All really cool, really neat. That do fix some of these weird mechanics that you're talking about, right? Yeah. Then they put out Luminor, which is a total digital co-op expansion, which is like a campaign that you play through, and you literally just have. We did a video on this one too. You like have minimal components from the game out, just the cards and stuff, and then the app takes care of everything else, and it sends you on a journey. And you just play your cards like you would in the normal game, and you earn parts and all that stuff. So it was really, really, really cool. So all those expansions plus the a Titan box, which is really a box that can hold every single expansion made for the game, all in one. So like that was the whole campaign, and we So since we're major fans of Moonrakers to begin with, for us this was a no-brainer. Like this is just we just loved it.
Yeah. So for us to get back into it, it'd be another $180 because the Titan box plus the base game.
Yeah.
To get everything, but you're getting a game trays insert, and look, the production. If you watch our review, the only bad thing about the vanilla version for me was the fact, and I like the negotiation part of it. I just thought, and there was also a king making problem, where when you got to 8 or 9 prestige points, people stopped negotiating with you.
Oh yeah.
They just stopped, and so you had to have the luck, or you had to have the luck of either drawing an objective card that you'd already completed to get that last prestige, which did happen, or you would have to basically work it out to do a contract solo if there were contracts out there and people weren't stealing them from you or wiping them out, because they could do that too. Before you were able to snag them, and so it sort of ground to a halt. Now I'm saying some negative stuff. I gave it a 7 out of 10. I really enjoyed it. I love the graphic design, and I actually said in my review, before I knew there were I think I knew there was expansions coming, but this campaign hadn't launched.
Yep.
I basically said, I have a feeling with 3 expansions coming out that they've really listened to their community, and there's a few things that they might fix.
Yeah.
And it sounds like they have.
That's
cool. I love that. I think
they
that's
did.
wonderful.
Yep, and I think each expansion sort of like addresses a certain a quirk about the game, and I think you would basically just take the modules that will help make the game better for your group, and I think that's where you'll find the sweet spot in this. And I think it's so if you're someone who owns Moonrakers already and you enjoy it, like this would be the thing that you don't even question it. You buy the expansions, right? You buy because it's going to it blows out your whole collection, man, and like just triples the amount of cards you put in the game. Like it's ridiculous. So
which is good. It needed some more variety too.
Yeah.
Which I like that, but I also like that they have expansions that change the mechanisms, not just add more stuff.
Oh yeah, yeah. They did. They definitely changed it. They brought in a whole like event deck and they also have a game board now where you actually move your ship around, which you didn't do before, which is really cool. Oh yeah,
right.
Yeah. That was a real. I thought that was like my favorite of the expansions. Is where I think it's called Nomad, where you're literally flying from planet to planet, and you have a lot more. Like you're getting 3 new mission cards every time you go to a planet, so you don't have to worry about the stale offer. So you have a lot more choices. And if you build your ship a certain way, you go to a certain planet, and the odds are you're going to be able to handle that much better, knowing what you're getting into.
Yeah, that's really cool, and I guess we could get our game back for $65. But only 231 backers are backing all 3 expansions at $100.
Oh wow!
4,500, almost 4,500 backers are backing the Titan box. So they are probably people that already have the base game.
Yep.
And they're getting that big gold foiled Titan box, all the expansions, the custom insert, the holo upgrade pack, all of that.
Yeah,
But there's over 3,000 people that are at the $180 level of getting into the game. That's really impressive.
That is super impressive, man.
almost 3,100 backers are getting into the Titan box plus the game, the base game, all ready to go.
That's insane.
So that's interesting. Yeah. So this game has definitely gained a lot of traction. A lot of people have been covering it. Unfortunately, we didn't get the expansions to cover, or we would have. I definitely would have, but it just wasn't in the cards for us, I guess. Which is fine, it was neat to watch you guys play through this. I actually did watch. I think I watched most of it. I can't.
There was a lot. There was a lot of coverage.
There was a lot there.
Yeah.
But if you're interested in Moonrakers, this is definitely. I mean, $1.5 million. This is on the radar. People are definitely noticing. Almost 10,000 backers, and it still has 11 days to go. This is trending high.
Yep.
So, yeah. You want to get into this one? This is the time.
Oh yeah, Moonrakers Titan. Go for it. All right, so to finish off our list of games, we have Bloodstones.
Bloodstones from Martin Wallace.
Yeah.
People love Martin Wallace. Yep.
This was an interesting one. This is a fantasy war game.
Yep.
With
dominoes.
Dominoes. What do you think about this?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I kind of had my eyes on it. I love the cover, even though it's very simple. This is not something that I would have, I guess, expected from Martin Wallace. I know he does a lot of different types of games. I mean, we've played Australia, which is kind of a Cthulhu train game, believe it or not, network route building. It is really, there's trains in it. It's a train game. And really enjoyed that one. We don't have it anymore. It's been a while since we played it. We have other Martin Wallace games, but this one is a war game, and I never knew, and I don't know if this is his first war game. Maybe some of you who are Martin Wallace experts or big, huge fans can comment on that, but I don't ever recall him doing a war game like this. So this was, I guess, in a word, Anthony, surprised is what I was. When I saw Martin Wallace's name attached to this, I was like, wait, what? So yeah, and it basically, if you look at the description, it says Bloodstone is the latest game from Martin Wallace. That's it.
That's pretty much it. Yeah, I don't even know where to begin imagining what this game is about. You know what I mean? Like, it's just, I mean, is it a Euro style war game?
I think it kind of is.
So I'm guessing area control.
I
mean, but it's
asymmetric towers.
Yeah, that's for sure. Different factions. 4
different races, or 6 if they meet the funding.
But what are we playing? A giant game of Risk here, mixed with Stratego, and I'm not really sure.
But you're trying to earn victory points, so I think that's the indicator to me that it's probably Euro. There's some kind of, like, maybe you're just area majority, or maybe you are area control, sort of like Memoir 44, where you're just sitting on an objective point and trying to hold it and not let it go, and that'll earn you victory points as you go. So it seemed, now to me it sounded fairly standard of a war game, but then I saw drawing a starting hand of 9 tiles. And then you decide where to place your citadel. There's no cards from what I see. I don't know if you saw cards in the campaign.
No, it's just these tiles.
It's the units, yeah.
I'd love to play it just to see what's going on here. I think it's a bit abstract with the tiles. You know what I mean?
So. Yeah.
But it might be a rich experience. I could say at the very least my interest is piqued. But the price point is very high.
It is high. Yeah, it is high. And I think it's the dominoes.
Yeah, for sure.
If I were to take a guess, yeah. Dominoes are nice chunky bits, and you have a good bit of them, because it even says once you've completed your actions, you draw back up. So your hand, it's not cards, you're drawing tiles. It's a tile drawing war game.
Yeah, very fantasy. It's a tile drawing fantasy war game on top of everything else, right?
Yeah,
like it's
fantasy,
just
which, again, yeah. And if you look at the components, I mean, that's what you get. You get a board, a couple maps,
It's a silk board. It's actually made of cloth, right? So, and then it's got all these plastic dominoes that are.
And it's because of those dominoes, so that they'll.
That's gonna cost.
Imagine how nice they'll glide across that. That'll be nice.
I bet you it's a real nice feel to play this. You know what I mean? I bet you it'd be a sweet game, but I just I don't know. My interest is piqued. So if I ever run into somebody who has it or see it at a con, I will definitely check it out.
This a try. Yeah, velvet bags, because that's where you're drawing your tiles from as a bag, so it's random in that sense.
It's got to have that real good tactile feel where you're just
Yeah. And I bet you strategy wise, it reminds me of the 2-player war chest from AEG. Where you're drawing those chips, you know, and you're kind of making the best with what you draw.
Yeah, I like that.
This is that's what I mean, and I think this is really I think from a strategic standpoint, I think it'd be really fun. It just looks great, and basically you're just going through scoring phases, and it looks like it's in another map. So they did get the extra factions, it looks like.
So this is like
tiles.
This is self-published by Martin Wallace.
Yeah, it's Martin Wallace Designs.
Yeah, that's interesting.
And if you scroll down, the picture that he has of the board on the table looks better than the picture of the board in the pictures at the top.
That's because I bet you that on the top is like on that tabletop simulator.
Yeah, I mean, look at that. Look at that board. Looks 3-dimensional to me.
Oh, the drawing.
Like
yeah. That art's pretty, man. Like that map.
Beautiful. That's
that map
really
pops.
And you know what? So many war games do such ugly boards, and I never understood that. And I love that this looks like a very nice board.
Oh, here we go. I got that picture. Yeah, I had it up for a while. It's got that dude's hand next to it. Yeah, like this.
Yeah,
it just pops. Like it looks 3-dimensional. That's beautiful. So I don't know. I'm interested. We'll put it that way.
Yep, $105. It's got 600.
$149 to buy it. What's this A? Is that a currency? Is that something that's not?
No, $104.90 is what I see.
$104.90 US. Yeah, I have this A 149. Yeah, I don't know what currency that is. That they're.
Is that Australian?
It might be. Yeah, it is. I'm sorry.
I think it is. Because he designed Australia, and I think that was why.
Australia with the Z, right?
Yep.
Yeah, 100. Okay. Okay, so 104.90 is better because I was 149 was a bit much. So 104 is not terrible.
No, it's not bad for what you're getting.
Yeah,
it's not $100 game. You know, shipping is $15. It says approximate to the U.S. mainland.
That's not bad.
That's not bad.
I'd have to really see some gameplay on this to sell me because I don't know. That's a $100 gamble.
Yep.
Of something that may just feel like I'm playing Risk. You know what I mean? Like I don't want that.
Right. And there's only a couple of videos. There's a how to play, and then there's 2 videos. There's I forget who that light bulb was.
See, I don't really want to see how to play. I want to see how it plays.
Oh yeah, you want to see people going at it, like actually playing it.
Like how does this thing work? Yeah. So that's. So I don't know.
2 hours playtime too, like that's great.
That's a nice heavy meaty game, man. So I don't know.
Players, because you can play solo. I mean, does solo take 2 hours? 6 take 12 hours? I mean, I don't know.
If it's a Turkey solo, it'll take you about 2 hours.
Yeah, it's true.
Because his are very complex.
One of the slides up here, one of his quotes.
I saw his quote. Yeah.
In a tense wargaming attire, I had tons of fun playing it.
I love and I hate his solo AIs.
Yeah, I love Turkey.
I love what they add to the game. I hate how fiddly they get though, and and you have to really do a lot of the decisioning. I've played the one for Undaunted, and that was like you're going down this checklist of things that you've got to find the one thing that matches and then make the decision. I'm like, too much makes my brain hurt. But I don't know. I gotta check it out. I'm interested. Bloodstones. It looks good.
And they did unlock both of the other factions. So the Chaos Horde and the Corsairs have been unlocked, and the 3rd map. So that's already been done.
All right,
the
cool.
4th map is also it's not unlocked. It's in progress. Linen finish on the rule book I don't care about. That's fine. Especially if you have to refer to it a lot. Sometimes war games you have to refer to the rule book a good bit for all the little little bit of fiddly rules in these games. But there is a solo mode.
It looks good.
Looks good. Yeah, that's why I figured I'd pick it. It still has 15 days left. It's got 728 backers. I mean, it's not going gangbusters, but I mean, $35,000 goal. I mean, US I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And it's got a little over 81,000 funded right now as of the filming of this.
You've still got time to pick up our copy, so.
That's right. I just had a birthday last week.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think I'm worth $104.90.
Oh, easily.
Plus 15 shipping, so
Yeah.
$190. I think that's okay. Yep. No, but yeah, if I saw people, if I hope I get a chance to play this someday because I'd love to try it.
Yeah.
It looks really good.
So, I agree. That's it. Bloodstones. Check it out.
Last one.
Yeah. All right, so we just wrapped up our crowdfunding coverage, and we thought we'd kind of just end this with a quick chat about the state of the hobby right now, right?
Yeah. As related to crowdfunding in particular.
Exactly. Yeah. Not a broad state of the hobby. we need more than a couple hours to talk about that.
Yeah. We would need a whole panel for that.
Yeah. Right on, man. So there's been some interesting buzz recently, right? And there's been a lot of videos, a lot of discussion, a lot of Facebook posts. I mean, it's everywhere, right? Just all this talk about the shipping costs, and I think the real big event that happened recently was we had a company that won't release its games, right, to its backers because of not having enough money to pay for the shipping costs now, right, or asking for more money, right? So what are your thoughts about this in general? And then we can start talking specifics.
Well, I mean, from a consumer perspective, I have not had much bad experience yet with crowdfunding. However, there's a lot of pending projects. They all seem like they're going to be delivered. I haven't really seen much of an issue.
Mm-hmm.
What I have seen, though, is some concern around some projects where you don't expect it. For example, Everdell, the big collector's box. There's a lot of people very angry at Starling or Table Tycoon might be the company behind that. I don't know who's ultimately in charge of some of these publishers, but there's been very sparse communication. It's going to be, they were supposed to deliver in March of this year. It's way overdue. It's looking like it won't come out. So from a consumer perspective, delays are part of the game, and I understand that that's what you're signing up for. There's no guarantee that you're even going to receive anything. But I think that a lot of people back in good faith, not expecting that to be the case. I think we have an expectation that we're going to get our stuff and get it in a reasonable amount of time. But what we have seen time and again, especially lately, is publishers just going back on that, either severely delaying and then simultaneously not providing updates or clear communication on the issues. But now we're seeing a lot of conflicting information, and that's what I've been seeing. Where Chip Theory, for example, Chip Theory games can ship a massive box of Burn Cycle, which I have right over here, loaded with plastic, very heavy, brass mags, for $10. They can kickstart Burn Cycle and ship it to backers for $10. Now, in the U.S., I'm talking about.
Right.
Okay. How can they do that for $10, but CMON can't ship Marvel Zombies for less than $60 or $70, $80 and then go back and ask their backers for more money? This is a company that makes literal millions of dollars bypassing the retail chains to go straight to crowdfunding.
Right.
Because it makes them a ton of money, and they're blasting people on shipping. And in fact, I might be lowballing it. If you got the Marvel Zombies with Galactus, you're talking $180, $200 in shipping for that thing. That's insane to me for a big hunk of plastic like that. But now, to the crux of what you asked me, I had to give a little bit of history on me as a consumer, where I am with this. Lately, I just pulled up this article about Mythic. So the article in question was really upsetting to me, and I'm not even a backer of Darkest Dungeon, but Mythic promised Darkest Dungeon, and they are they are literally at this point withholding copies of the game from the backers for more money. And it's as bad as that sounds. Mythic Games says that the cost of shipping has increased so much over the past couple of years that they are holding the games hostage, because that's basically what that is. For ransom, they're holding them hostage. They're saying, we're not releasing the game to you unless you give us more money,
which is insane.
What'd you say?
I said that's insane.
It is insane. Here's the problem. It made $1 million in day one. This is all according to the article.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe, Anthony, I'm not going to force you to, but maybe in the description we can link to these things. The people can read it for themselves.
Yep. I got the article too up behind you.
Tripled its goal. It finished with more than $5.6 million. Now you might say, why? Well, Darkest Dungeon is a video game, and these IPs can mean big bucks to the board game industry. And so $5.6 million. Now, you know that it didn't cost them $5.6 million to make the game. They're now saying that they're facing a serious, quote, serious financial problem and are asking backers for more money. But I would say they're not even asking the backers for more money. They're demanding more money. And we know that material costs have gone up. We know that shipping costs have gone up. We know that container costs have gone up. However, I've also learned recently, again, not an expert, but in the logistical side, but also someone who listens and pays attention and follows the facts. The shipping container costs have started to drop now back again as things start to level out and improve. Over the last 2 years, there has been a steady improvement. And even when you factor in these higher costs of things, when you read Mythic Games' statement, sorry to go on, Anthony, but
no, go on.
When they say that the material costs have gone up 600%, well, if it costs pennies, 600% sounds like a lot, but it's also a ploy to sort of like make it sound a lot worse than maybe what it is. 600% compared to what is what you never hear. 600%. Yeah. What does that mean? I have no context of what that means. If it cost $1 million, you're not saying it costs $600 million. Well, that's a significant increase. Okay, that's statistically relevant. But if you're talking about pennies for some of this cardboard or some of these components, when you say 600%, I mean, you might be talking a cost increase, yes, and I understand things have happened. But what bothers me is they're claiming that it's going to cost $3 million to ship the games to you. Okay, but the backers also paid $1.7 million of shipping as part of the campaign. And so there's a shortfall now of $1.4 million. And this isn't their first campaign. This isn't their first rodeo. And what is astonishing to me is that instead of communicating to their backers, because backers have been very, I don't know, Anthony, if you've experienced this, but we're paying an extra $3, for example, of shipping for Deliverance, the game of spiritual warfare from Andrew Lowen. He came to the backers. He explained the problem, and he was polite, he was kind, he was communicative, he was clear, and he said, would you be willing to donate an extra $3? And you know what, Anthony? Backers were sending him $50 to help cover other people's shipping increases. Oh, wow. Like literally, it was an amazing outpouring of the community because they handled it right. This kind of behavior to me from a publisher that should know better, that is far bigger than Andrew Lowen Games.
Right.
You're seeing some of the worst behavior out of some of the biggest publishers, and that is going to destroy the hobby, at least from these big, huge games, especially the crowdfunding stuff. It's going to really mess people up. So I know I went on a little bit there. What are your thoughts?
No, I think you're spot on, but I think what we're probably seeing is a combination of things, right, in this space, and this is my opinion, right? I think it's a combination of either of corporate greed, right? So you've got these bigger corporations who are taking advantage of this crowdfunding platform, right? Because it's become more than a crowdfunding platform now. It's become a pre-order platform, and that's not its intent at all. That's right. It is to help the smaller independent publisher create a product that they can't afford to start on their own, right? They can't fund it themselves, so they're asking for crowdfunding, right? That's the whole premise of it. And it's not a platform for a publisher to say, how many people are interested in buying my game? let me get your pre-orders and then I'll send you a game in 6 months, right? Like that's not its intent, but I think we're seeing that, right? And then when you've got these multi-million-dollar projects, right, you're seeing the second part of this, which is you've got game designers and game publishers who are not inherently business people.
Yeah.
Period. And you're seeing a lot of this actually in this space, and it's not just with publishing, it's with content creation, it's with like every job in this space. You've got a mix of people who are just gamers who don't have any sense of business, who are now running a business on their own, and they don't know how to run a business. And you're seeing these sort of cracks. It's not such a big deal when it's a small thing, but when it's a multi-million-dollar project, it affects tens of thousands of people. And that's what and that's when people sit back and say, "Oh, we have a problem here." I'm like, "No, we've had a problem."
Yeah.
You're just seeing it at the highest level now.
Right. And let me offer you the flip side of that. The issue of gamers starting companies and maybe not realizing that what they're selling is going to be so popular, and now they've got to get brushed up on their accounting, and they got to get brushed up on the business aspect of it. I've worked with a lot of very small publishers and done interviews and have done playthroughs, and they've got their ducks in a row.
Yeah.
So I realize that there are gaps. I would have gaps if it were me.
Oh, yeah.
I would have to hire and staff my weaknesses, like all of us would. But I've also seen the flip side where you heard about the Asmodee purchase last year, and the controversy around Miniature Market being a Asmodee property. Here's a distributor of board games that had purchased Miniature Market, which is a retail outlet, which is a massive conflict of interest. It's monopolistic practice right there.
Sure.
And people sort of noticed it, but it wasn't until they were purchased that people knew it was going on.
Right.
And so I'm getting to a point. So who bought Asmodee? Do you remember?
No, actually.
Big worldwide group. It's a group called Embracer. Embracer is if you look up their website, you can find their webpage. They're a big conglomerate of investors. And they're buying up a whole lot of stuff. And it's all entertainment based. Prior to buying Asmodee, prior to having that board game conglomerate Asmodee in their repertoire, they are mainly a publisher of mobile video games. They purchased Asmodee. Do you think that these people running this business have any understanding or knowledge or care about board games?
No, they're bottom line business. Yeah,
they're all business. So you're noticing, and we've noticed a problem where gamers start companies and maybe bite off more than they can chew.
Sure.
I think that's correctable. I don't think you can correct big, huge conglomerates buying out things just for the money. And I think that's going to hurt the board game industry in more ways than we are aware of. It has hurt the video game industry. Look at EA. EA is the most hated video game publisher in history, and they're one of the top 10 or 20 maybe hated companies. They're rated one of the worst companies to work for in the United States and to be a part of. Why? Because of greed.
Right. Yeah, and what that leads to, and we're seeing it everywhere now, is they stop listening to the fan base. Right. That's what happens, and that's exactly where these companies are failing, and it's happening in the board gaming industry too. Is they're ignoring what the actual gamers want to play, and they're putting out what they want you to play.
Yep.
And that's the thing, and they're going to keep repeating the cycle, and as long as we keep buying it up and lining up for it, they're going to keep doing it, right? And it's got to get to a point where we stop trusting these companies, stop trusting our money with these companies, and stick with the ones that are true to who they are and serving the audience, right? To serving the consumer, and those that sort of veer off the path and go corporate and they lose sight of what the true hobby's about. The only way we can fight back is with our dollars, right?
It is. It's the only way to fight back.
It's the only way to get them to listen. Otherwise, they won't listen.
They won't listen. Yeah,
Nope.
they won't listen. And the problem with CMON is that they have become, in my opinion, the EA of the board game space.
Oh yeah,
At this,
yeah.
they are. I don't like to. I know people think that it's easy to just punch up, because they're the biggest and they're they raise the most money and all of that. That it's no. Listen, there's something objectively wrong with what they're doing 90% of the time. They are not consumer friendly. They are not friendly anyway. Their customer service isn't good. And they bypass, and I've talked to lots of store owners in the Pittsburgh area. And yeah, CMON does bring their games to retail, but after the fact. They use the crowdfunding as a pre-order platform.
That's
and
they
bypass the retailers. They're
100%.
not friendly retailers. They're not. So these things, I know we're starting to talk about shipping, but it all connects, right?
Yeah, no, I think this is great context.
Yeah, it all connects together. And so, what has happened now? Back to the Mythic thing and the Darkest Dungeon. What they've now started to do, and by the way, Funforge also went through this with Monumental. They're having a hard time delivering the reprint of Monumental. I wanted Monumental, but people that pre-ordered it, I'm glad I didn't, because they're not getting their game. Because they started another campaign after Monumental reprint. I forget what it was called. You can see it on their page. They canceled it because it didn't fund. But what they were trying to do is use the funds from a subsequent campaign to pay for the one that they didn't deliver. So what they're doing is they're getting themselves into a vicious cycle.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what's happening with Austere from Mythic.
Yep.
It just seems like they're trying to get rid of their costs by raising money with other campaigns.
Yeah, they're floating themselves another cycle.
And I don't know about you, but doesn't that sound volatile?
They're gonna
pain away from exploding.
That's it. All they have to do is they have to use up all their funds on their last project, and if their next one doesn't fund, because think about it, they're taking salaries every year. These executives, right? Your money isn't just going to pay for these games. People don't understand that. Okay, we just gave this company $3 million. They owe us. Their money's going to the game. Well, no, it's going to pay for their salaries and the games. They're not charging you to pay for the games. They're charging you for the game plus the markup, which is probably 40%, right? Yeah. Plus the shipping. Yeah, easily. So they're keeping a good chunk of that money, and they're going to use it. They're buying houses. They're doing their own thing, and then they're going to fund a new game next year to pay for the rest of the production for the one they closed on last year, so they can actually make delivery on it. That next batch of money is going to pay their salaries, and it's going to keep going. Like you said, if at any point they fall down or the next project doesn't fund, none of them are going to fund. None of them are going to deliver. We'll put it that way.
And the thing that really bothers me is that why is this all just coming up now? I mean, if Darkest Dungeon funded 2 years ago, okay, fine. I understand things have risen dramatically. Nobody expected the global situation. Nobody expected COVID. But what have you been doing all this time?
Right. It's the shipping that got them, because they played their margins too tight, and because they spent any extra money that they got in the campaign already, there's nothing left. So they didn't anticipate. If I charged you $10 for shipping, and in 2 years from now, when I finally finish production of this game, I have to ship it out to you, and now it's going to cost me $40 to ship a game. Yeah, times however many people, it's going to be that's the issue. They don't have any more money.
Right.
But like you said, it comes down to them being able to get the backers and how they approach the backers and getting that money back.
That's all I'm saying. I sympathize with the publishers, and I if we're taking what they're saying as true, if they're not manipulating the facts, because again, how does chip theory and people say, well, they subsidized it. Well, what does that mean? Tell me. I'm a dummy. Okay, when it comes to finances, I don't know what that means. Who subsidizes it?
Correct.
Who is this mythical corporation out there that just comes in and says, I will pay for the majority of your shipping. I know what subsidizing means. I know what it means. But who is subsidized? What does that mean? They subsidize the shipping.
Exactly.
How does Chip Theory ship a big game like Burn Cycle for $10 But yet these companies are scrambling around trying to figure out how to make things work. There's got to be some kind of standard process that is elusive to some of these publishers. Maybe like you said, maybe it's just because these are gamers and they don't have the business savvy for some of this stuff. Maybe that is part of it.
It's part of it.
But
one sec.
Truth. If they're telling us the truth and they're being honest about it and they're being clear and they communicate and they say, listen, and literally, I'm sure that it stinks for people to, I mean, Andrew Lowen, he felt bad even asking for $3.
Yeah. It's
it really
crazy.
bothered him, like, because you pay expecting the product, and then this happens, and he's a small publisher. But that's the thing; he approached it correctly. He approached it with humility and respect for his audience, and people rallied. I mean, they did. But you have these other companies now, like Mythic, and it's just like they take their customers for granted, and just like, no, we're going to hold it hostage until you pay up. I mean, I don't know. I don't think that's the right way to do it. It's not. I understand. Costs went up. Okay, great. Okay. But, you can't do that. That's just not good business practice. And I just feel so, this is going to turn people away. I think. I mean, like you said, it seems like crowdfunding hasn't really slowed down much.
Right.
But I think the trickle effect is going to be severe because Mythic is now in trouble. CMON is in trouble. Their latest game, which one was it? The Cyberpunk? It didn't fund nearly what CMON stuff funds. And I'm telling you, that was the consumers speaking with their wallet. I'm telling you it was.
I wanted that to be so good. I'll be honest with you.
Yeah. I'm not a huge fan of the Cyberpunk theme. It just sometimes seems like it's dark just for the sake of being so dark.
Yeah, it definitely is. And I was expecting a cyberpunk themed Witcher 3.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I did. I got a broken first person shooter is what I got.
Yeah, and that's sad because and I think that right there, if board gamers are aware, and look, there's a lot of crossover between board games and video games. A lot of board games play video games and vice versa. So I think it could be the association with Cyberpunk, but I personally think it's because of their shenanigans with Marvel Zombie.
Yeah, you know what? I got to tell you, like, I lost a lot of faith. I used to like CMON back in the day. Yeah. And to give you some perspective, the last game I bought from CMON was, I think, was Zombicide. Like the original Zombicide.
The original one way back then.
Yeah. After that, they started doing those massive campaigns, and I was just like, this just doesn't feel right. I don't know. The games they just seem thin. A lot of plastic. And just like, they just kept pumping it up. And I just like, and I never enjoyed many of their products. Like, honestly, like, just never appealed to me. Then that Marvel campaign came out. I was like, oh, maybe this will be a reinvention. Actually, no, what? I'm wrong. It was the Zombicide Black Plague. That's the last one I bought.
Okay, yeah.
It was the medieval one, right?
Yep.
I went. Yeah, I've got the Knights back. I got the whole thing. I haven't played it once.
Oh, wow.
It's in shrink still.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it's terrible, and that's the last one I bought. And I was just like, I have no.
Probably worth some money.
Oh yeah, for sure. But it's like, and I got all the bells and whistles with it and everything. I never opened it, and it's like, then the Marvel one came out. I'm like, when I buy another one to sit on my shelf, like it's just not for me. So
no, I'd rather buy Euthia if I'm going to spend that kind of money.
Yeah.
I'd honestly buy Euthia because they're innovating. I don't think CMON's innovated in time. Yeah.
No, you're right. It's just they're just pumping out as many games as they can. They're getting a hold of IPs that they know are going to sell, and it's just a cash grab, and I just can't get behind that.
Yep. And look where Fantasy Flight has gone. Where's Fantasy Flight? Where have they gone? I mean,
I don't know.
They're a shadow of their former selves.
Yeah.
And they've done the same thing. Everything's IP, and now they're going into that app-driven, which is a whole other discussion. I don't want to get into that, but it's like but the quality, the game, like, where's the game? It's just not there.
Yeah, they used to be like front runners. I used to like just love their stuff, and then they're just falling off.
I mean, they're riding the success of that Star Wars Rebellion. I mean, they still have some great games that people really seem to love.
Yeah, Marvel Champions. I'm a big fan of Marvel Champions. You play that one?
No, I haven't played that one. I played Marvel United, which is CMON, ironically. It wasn't like somebody else's copy. It was fun. Blake liked it. And you can get that at Walmart. But my buddy brought it over. He had the play mat and he had the whole thing from the Kickstarter, and that was pretty cool. I haven't played Champions though, but I heard it's good. I know Roy Canady, I think, from the Dice Tower, loves Champions.
I'm heavy into it right now.
Are you?
Yeah, it's really good. it's definitely. I didn't want to get sucked in, and I did, and I bought
did.
Oh yeah,
That's why the card games, the collectible card games, those kinds of games, you'll find a scarcity of them. We got into the board game hobby back in 2018. Well, the collection part of it by getting rid of my old Magic cards from high school. I had like 4,500 cards.
Oh wow!
And I had a very valuable collection, and we got store credit for it. I mean, thousands of dollars, Anthony. Wow. And that's how we actually got our board game collection started.
Nice.
Was my old Magic cards. So
that's crazy.
I've kind of run that gamut of collectible card games. I don't know if Champions is collectible in that sense.
It's a living card game.
Oh, it's a living. Okay.
Yeah. Yep. So when they sell an expansion, there's no like surprise packs. You don't buy a booster pack and
there's no pay to win. Okay.
No.
That's what Magic is. Magic is pay to win.
Oh yeah. You just hope you get the rare cards. Like, this isn't about rarities. This is like you get what you buy. Like, that's it.
Right. You don't even have to hope. You will find, if you have the money and you have the determination, you can find someone that has that card you need for your deck.
Oh yeah. But it's going to cost you.
Right. Yeah, it'll cost you.
Yeah.
But that's the whole, and I hate that, and I don't like that. You'll find precious few card games in our collection in general, but I would play Champions with you. I definitely would try it.
I'll hold you to that, man.
Definitely. I didn't even know that was FFG, to be honest. I'm terrible.
Yeah, it's definitely in their living card game vein, where it's expansions and character hero packs, and you get what you pay for. You know what I mean? And it's affordable, so like it's not that bad. It's good.
It also seems like the board gaming industry, the community, is very susceptible to these, like, okay, we're going to focus on zombies now. All the publishers get together. It seems like they all put their heads together. It's like, let's all come out with a zombie game and we'll all capitalize on this zombie thing. And then now it's Marvel. And I got to be honest with you, I'm so fatigued from Marvel. I'm fatigued.
Yeah. The thing is like, as long as you don't get sucked in and play all the different Marvel games, you're okay. Like, because then there's that one miniatures game that's out that people are playing with I forget, Crisis Protocol. Is that what it is?
Protocol, yeah.
Like that. That's another aspect you get where you got to paint the minis and do all that.
It's Marvel Legendary, which is still going strong. Little one-off games like Thanos Rising and
I have that one.
There's so much Marvel right now, and I'm just a little fatigued.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I go through those phases where I don't want to deal with a certain theme.
Yeah.
Because like you said, it'll be Western theme next year, and then it'll be space theme, and then it'll be Star Wars, and then round and round.
It goes through cycles, right? Yep. Exactly. But yeah, I don't know. I hope that these companies can recover, but we're seeing the death of a lot of companies.
Well, I think that's exactly it, and I think. I mean, this is what has to happen. This is how business works, right? Like the ones that know what they're doing and have the right business sense are going to survive, and I think the ones that don't are gonna crumble, and they're gonna go off, and they're gonna get bought up by somebody else. I mean, I think Tasty Minstrel Games they're not in business anymore, right? Like they had a lot of great titles in their library, man. Like they were solid, and poof, they're gone. Like, it's just, how did that happen? It's usually by the person running the company.
Yeah.
Right? Like, that's how it is. Like,
always leadership. Yeah.
Yeah. It's whoever's doing it. So it's just, this is going to happen, and you're going to see these companies who you thought were super stable suddenly go under. And I think we're going to see a lot more of that because of, one, the economy right now with inflation. So this is where businesses get tested, right? This is where, because anybody can survive in good times, right? Because you can make as many mistakes as you want, and you'll still be able to recover, because it's not bad. Things are affordable. Things are working. But when you start to see turbulence in pricing, like shipping and inflation and the supply chain and all these little issues come up, it's whichever companies can navigate those issues, and this goes for anything, any industry, right? those that have strong leadership and can navigate those issues and recover, those are the ones that stay afloat.
Yeah.
And it's all these companies that we're seeing now that aren't really being run by the right people that are folding. And I think it's lessons learned, and I think this is where we're going to start to see, who really doesn't know what they're doing.
Yeah, and it'll be interesting to see the long-term effects of this too, like how the businesses that do survive, they're going to have to make adjustments to their plans. Look how we had to adjust. I mean, even us as a church, and I don't mean to bring that into it, but I mean, like when COVID hit and people weren't coming, we had to adapt. We had to change things. We had to learn how to streamline. We had to learn where we could cut costs. And we did. We found ways. It was like, wow, like we innovated in some ways where, like, and what I'm afraid of a little bit, not in a negative sense, but like, I wonder how much of cost padding is now going to be put into our future board games, because they're going to be putting, like, in other words, putting those costs into the games in advance, just in case something like that would happen again.
Yeah,
like,
they're gonna bake the inflation into the game, the pricing. Yeah, well, I think they're already doing that. I'll be honest with you.
Right.
I bet you Simon's already doing that. Because what they do is they just they switch the allocation between shipping and game cost, right?
Yeah,
they're gonna pick a price point that they think you're willing to pay for the game. We want you to buy it, so we're gonna say it's $100, and you're like, okay, and they're like, we really need to make 140 on this, so let's charge them an extra $40 on shipping.
And we'll just throw in a couple more pieces of plastic, call them stretch goals, and they'll be fine.
Yeah, I'll hire some artist to put their name on it. Just do 2 minis for me under your artist name, and then I'll give you a couple grand, and then we'll call it a day.
Yeah.
That's how they do it.
We, the consumer, and that's the thing that they forget. They complain about 600% increase. We're consumers too. We are also putting gas in our cars for $5, $6, $7, $8 a gallon in the United States. We also are going to grocery stores, and we still can't find certain kinds of peanut butter that we eat. We feel the pinch. We understand. You're that's the thing. They act like they're the only ones that are being affected by these crises. Right. All of us are. Have a little sympathy for the fact that consumers are doing that too.
Yeah. They don't care though. That's the thing.
They
honestly don't care. They act like they care, but why would they care? Honestly, like they're like, you're gonna buy it. Well, what the laughable part of it is the product they are selling, right, is a luxury item.
I was just going to bring that up.
That when it hits the fan, when it really does hit the fan, right, in the economy, and we do go into a true, like when we're admitting now that we're in a recession, right, because no one's willing to admit that yet. But when we fully do, where are we going to be then? Like, people aren't going to be buying board games, right? Because you're going to be paying for food that you can't get. You're going to be paying $20 for that pound of turkey breast so your kid can have lunch at school, right? Like, this is what it's coming down to. So these publishers, they got to understand that at some point, us, the consumer, we're going to have to make a choice.
Yes.
Do I spend $200 on this board game, or do I pay my electric bill now that's twice as much because the price of fossil fuels have just gone through the roof? And we haven't even hit the winter yet when people start burning gas at home. You just think about it, your car. It's not just your car, it's your home too. Like, gas is gas.
Yeah, you're exactly right. I was going to bring that up. I mean, I realize this is a luxury product. We don't need board games. I can't come down here and make soup out of my board games. At some point, and we do that now. What did I tell you? We can't afford Euthia. We're not sponsored. We're not on Patreon. We don't have that ability like some do. And I'm not complaining. That's part of the grind. That's part of it. But the reality is, I'm not entitled to that game. It's a luxury product. No matter, I can complain until I'm blue in the face. Nobody's obligated to give me anything.
Some would argue that. I've actually seen that argument.
And listen, as a side note to content creators who might be watching this, stop complaining and giving bad raps to content creators, to publishers. I've talked to too many publishers that have been harassed and just absolutely unprofessional, terrible treatment by content creators. I'm not making that up, Anthony.
I've heard the same stories, man.
Like that, where they're treated so poorly because we somehow think that they owe us something.
Yeah. There's a major sense of entitlement in this space, man.
Yes.
And it's not just with the content creators. It's with the community, because I saw a whole thread on we shouldn't have to pay premium prices for a board game. Why are you making a premium edition of a game? We can't afford that. I'm like, this is a luxury item, man. You can't afford a Porsche. That doesn't mean they're lowering the price for you. Like, you don't drive a Porsche. Like, that's it. Like, you can't afford this game, then you buy the cheaper one. Like, that's how you buy.
Life works.
That is exactly how life works. But everybody feels that we're all entitled to the same things. But this is not the way the world works, man. No. You're entitled to what you can afford.
That's right. Work a couple of extra shifts. Yeah. Then you can buy the premium product. Okay.
That's it. And so I don't feel sympathy for that, man. I'm sorry. Like, neither. We all work hard to get what we have, and it's like, I don't expect anything. No handouts, right? Like, it's just
you and I aren't. We're not old. But times have changed so rapidly that I feel like I'm an old man trapped in a 45-year-old body, because I look at the way you and I were raised.
Mm-hmm.
This kind of stuff would never have flown.
No.
If I'd have went to my parents or went to the neighbors and acted entitled, I would have just been shut down. But nowadays it's just become the thing, and it's sad, because people they're not realizing the value of hard work. And, if you want that thing and you're going to, like you said, the Porsche, that's a great example.
Mm.
What are you going to do? You're going to go yell at Porsche because they make a car that's $100,000 that you can't afford, that I can't afford? What, just because you think you are owed a Porsche? I mean, why do we do that with our board game publishers? And even as content creators, if you're going to approach and make an offer and say, hey, we're willing to cover your game, or we're willing to do all of that, expect to be told no.
Yeah.
And be okay with it, and say thank you for your consideration. Thank you. I have thanked so many publishers for just responding to me and saying, we can't do it at this time. Hey, listen, thank you. Just keep us in mind. We're here.
Yeah.
Be professional.
Yeah.
We're expecting a lot from these publishers. We're sitting here, we've been talking for the last hour about this stuff going on in the industry. We as consumers, content creators, we have a responsibility too.
Yeah. Oh, you're 100% spot on, man. I agree. And I think it's just that we are professionals, like you said, and this is a business, and you should deal with your business partners professionally. Yeah. And you're spot on in that. I've had numerous publishers tell me about their horrible experiences with other content creators, and just I'm amazed. And then when we do our normal thing, and they're like, wow, you guys are so easy to work with. I'm like, who's not easy to work with? Like, what does that even mean? Like, what are these people doing? That's actually complicated, because
I've been told some very shocking stories. I was told by one that they were kind of harangued by a particular, I didn't know who it was. I was never told names, which is great. But then they ended up they sent them the product, okay, we'll send you a product. And then they barely even did any coverage, and didn't even, and then sort of just took it and ran. And all that does is hurt the rest of the community.
Yep. Or
if we want this hobby to grow, we need to grow up with it. We need to grow up,
Yeah, and the problem is, I think right now, and we could go on a whole tangent for this.
I know.
Yeah, it's what it comes down to is it's accountability, and there's no accountability. But I think there needs to be some, and I think we're going to get to that point where there will be accountability. There will be people taken to task, and it's like, what, you're not good people. And I think I think we're going to start to see through, hopefully, a lot of the smoke and mirrors.
It's going to take courage, and it's going to take sacrifice.
Yeah.
And which typically falls on a few shoulders before the many kind of jump on board.
Yeah.
So that's what we're going to have to see is the people, even if it's a few, standing up for what they believe, and doing it in a like you and I have discussed, doing it in a humble way, doing it in a, we're humans with you, we make mistakes too, but also standing up and saying, this is wrong and we're not going to put up with it.
Yeah, you're right. And I think we'll get there. And I think we just need to keep talking about it. And I think that's the first step.
Free speech. That's the key.
That's it, man.
Yep.
All right. So I think we had a pretty good talk. good discussion, good topics. I think we could probably wrap up now. We'll definitely do more of these sessions for sure, man. I think it's good.
This is real good. Love it. This is great. This kind of content that I really, I'm very thankful to you and Francis for everything you've done, and having us on the Nexus and being able to spend the time, until after 1 a.m. and talking like it's great. I mean, we're trying to do good. We're trying to do right. And and we just want to see things improve. We love this hobby. We love what being around the table means, and that's why we do it.
Yeah, no, you're 100% right, and we've been doing this since I think 2014, and so it's been 8 years now that we've been in this space, and there was a time where we didn't like this space anymore, and we had a choice to either leave it and move on or stick with it and try to fix it. We're trying to fix it. Mm-hmm. Yep. So we're here for this. We're here for the long run. Like, why should we leave a place that we used to love, just because it's not the same place anymore? Let's try to get it back to what it used to be.
That's right.
That's it. And the only way we're going to do it is if we talk about it.
Keep talking about it. Yep.
Bring it to light. So, all right, man. Look, it's been great, Branden. We'll do this again in a few weeks and go from there.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Anthony.
All right. Have a good
everybody. We'll see you.
Take care, folks.